dysprosium and terbium, which are absolutely critical for the magnets that go into EVs and offshore wind turbines. And that's material that's typically sourced from ionic adsorption clays of southern China and Myanmar. So again, you know, the world needs a lot more Makuutus.
Hello and welcome to the Assay TV, where today we're on day 2 of 121's mining investment event in Cape Town. Today I'm joined by Tim Harrison, the Managing Director of Ionic Rare Earths. Welcome, Tim.
Hi, Katie.
Ionic is focused on advancing its flagship Makuutu Project in Uganda. Can you start by giving us a recap?
Okay, so yeah, Makuutu is a large ionic adsorption clay deposit, one of, you know, less than a handful of proven ionic adsorption clays that exist outside of southern China and Myanmar. Produces a basket of both magnet and heavy rare earths, which is, you know, increasingly more important for potential downstream end users across the US and Europe. So Makuutu is going to be a geopolitically strategic project for you know, establishing a new rare earth supply chain into those markets.
So you mentioned that it is a clay deposit. What are the potential benefits over, say, hard rock mining?
Okay, so ionic adsorption clays, effectively the rare earth minerals have been broken down over millions of years. So Mother Nature has broken down the minerals, which means then that the rare earths exist in a chemical form bonded to the clay. The advantages of ionic adsorption clays over hard rock: typically you don't end up with elevated concentrations of uranium or thorium. You don't end up with you know, many of the downstream radionuclide issues that can be a significant negative for hard rock rare earth projects. And typically the ionic adsorption clay products have a better balanced basket, so more magnet, more heavy rare earths, and it's the heavy rare earths that are in most demand going forward as the West tries to and find alternative supply chains.
So you've explained why it's a beneficial project, but where are we in terms of significant milestones such as mining licenses?
Okay, so we've been working through a mining license application now for some time. We started that application in September. We're in discussions with the Ugandan government about getting all the documentation in. The Uganda government has implemented some changes over the last couple of months. They'll be ready to receive all of our documents later this week, we hope. So it's very, very close. You know, we are in constant dialogue with our stakeholders there. We're close to finalising our feasibility study. It's effectively done. We just need to finalise an ore reserve estimate, and then we're able to share that with some of our strategic partners as well.
Excellent. So we have to also mention your magnetic recycling demonstration plant in Belfast. Where are we with that? Yeah,
so Belfast we've made a huge amount of progress in the 12 months or so since we've acquired the UK entity, the subsidiary. We've changed the name to Ionic Technologies. We're now getting all of the equipment in to Belfast to start recycling magnets. We've already got probably an inventory of nearly 28 tonnes of magnets, and we will be progressively starting the commissioning end of March, producing oxides by the end of June. And with those oxides, we'll be in a position to start greater collaboration with the downstream supply chain, the metal makers, the alloy makers, the magnet makers, to try and get that product into the supply chain and demonstrate what these new emerging supply chains are going to look like for some of the groups that we're in discussions with across government and the EV supply chain.
So you see Ionic being instigators of a change in narrative around supply chains. Obviously China dominates a lot. You see you guys kind of shifting that narrative?
Look, I think we can help that process. I think there's a huge amount of work that needs to be done. We are in a position where we have a basket of magnet and heavy rare earths that can help the process. By no means is it ever going to be enough. You know, we will, you know, enable potentially the supply of magnet rare earths for up to 2 million EVs, maybe more, depending on how we look at the ramp up of the project. But if you look at the number of EVs that need to be produced ex-China by 2035, there's a substantial amount of investment that needs to be brought online to bring on not only just NdPr, but it's dysprosium and terbium, which are absolutely critical for the magnets that go into EVs and offshore wind turbines. And that's material that's typically sourced from ionic adsorption clays of southern China and Myanmar. So again, the world needs a lot more Makuutus.
Yeah. So do you see there being like a consistent deficit for the years to come?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's going to be enough, more projects need to come online, which means potentially there needs to be a greater incentive for heavy rare earth production, simply because the world needs a greater supply of magnet rare earths, but specifically the dysprosium and terbium, which goes into making these magnets.
Excellent. And for our final question, what can investors look out for in 2023?
2023, well, 2022 was a good year for us in that we built a platform for us to now be able to capitalise on the work that's been done. So feasibility study at Makuutu, the mining licence application being submitted. Ugandan government has been very consistent in their messaging that they expect that we'll have a mining licence approved by the end of March. So we're on track for that. Then for the rest of the year, demonstration plant and de-risking the project ahead of potentially a final investment decision later this year. We've started the process on debt and working through that. There's several opportunities for the company as we go downstream, with a view to a supply chain potentially into the US. We're working on a scoping study at the moment on a refinery in the US. Several discussions also underway with potential strategic partners on what that is going to look like, and how those strategic partners can maybe work with Ionic, and is there a accretive benefit in those deals, and then a lot of progress out of Belfast as we work towards demonstrating the technology and potentially commercial opportunities over the next 12 months as well in the magnet recycling space.
Well, it sounds like Ionic certainly has a lot going on in the next few months, and we can't wait to hear more when we catch up next. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the event.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.